Hey guys, welcome back to the MCU HQ, and yesterday I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, so I wanted to get my review out, but I wanted to take a night to just think it over and gather my information for my review, so I finally have it. So I'm going to make two reviews, my non-spoiler, which I'm doing now, and my spoiler, which should be up shortly after my non-spoiler. So this is the non-spoiler review, so let's dive right into it. First thing I want to talk about this movie. You guys know it. They've already discussed it. It's been said. It's not a spoiler. His origin story is not told in this movie, and I love that because right from the first scene, you dive right into Spider-Man. There's no build up to it. You're not like, oh my god, I've seen this 2 times already in the last 20 years. I do not need to see it again. And you don't. Marvel did this movie perfectly without discussing the origin story. The actors and characters in this movie are great. Um, the four that stuck out for me were Zendaya as Michelle. I thought she was funny. Me and my friend were both like, oh, she's awesome. Can't remember who plays him, but Peter's best friend, Ned. Ned was hilarious. I love Ned. Tom Holland is now my favorite Peter Parker and favorite Spider-Man. And Michael Keaton as the Vulture has probably the best performance of the movie. And not only that, his villain, the Vulture, is probably my second most memorable MCU villains. Loki, him, and Ironmonger are my top three most memorable villains. So that's pretty good. One thing I was worried about when the first trailer came out for this movie is how much Tony Stark was in that trailer. Hang on. Yeah, is how much Tony Stark is in that trailer. So I was like, oh no, are they gonna make it like Iron Man 4 or something? Like, or it's gonna be like 60% Tony, 40% Spidey. In the final battle, is he gonna show up and help? I had all this stuff in my mind, like, oh, it's gonna be all Tony Stark. It's really not. He's only in maybe 5 scenes, and they're not even long scenes. He just makes short little appearances in those scenes. It's like 85%, or not 80, it's like 95% Spider-Man and 5% Iron Man. He's only there just to help Peter out. He's not there all the time. And that is something I'm very happy they did, because I was worried that they were going to screw that up, and that was really going to affect how this movie. There was one thing in the movie that I was not a huge fan of, and that it's a spoiler, so I'm going to talk about it in my spoiler review. But it's essentially, well, it's they did something that I knew fans would love, and I was all like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, they're gonna do it. And then they eventually ended up finding a different way to do it, so they didn't really do that idea, and that really upset me because I thought they were gonna do something that would satisfy tons of people, but instead I could tell it disappointed a lot of comic book fans, and it may just be a small nitpick for me, but I really thought that they handled that situation poorly, and there was a much better way they could have done it. And this movie, as you know, was scheduled. They got this late in the game. They were already filming Civil War when they got the rights to use Spider-Man the movie. So because of that, there are a few continuity errors with this movie and previous movies that I will discuss in my spoiler review. But they're not huge things, just things right at the beginning. I was like, oh, that's a timeline error. And speaking of timeline errors, there is like a huge there's a prologue that is 8 years before this movie, which means like it messes up the timeline of everything that's happened in between. Every Marvel movie, every TV show. So I have no clue when this actually takes place in time. Because it wrecks the timeline, which then makes the little like continuity errors even bigger, because now we're talking like year gaps. Um, so that annoys me. I'm hoping at some point in time they release something explaining how the timeline works, but I don't know if they will. That's really it for my nitpicks. The last thing I have to say is how they made it more realistic. Like in previous Spider-Man movies, on the posters, you'll see him like above skyscrapers doing that or something. Like, how did he get up there? What's he webbing onto? In Spider-Man 2, he's at like the highest building and he does that and webs onto another tower, and there's nothing there. He's at the highest point. In this movie, it's not a spoiler. There's a scene where he has to run through a field, and he puts his web out and there's nothing to hook onto, so it's just this shot of him just running across the field. It's hilarious, and I was like, oh, that's perfect, because that's what would happen, right? There's nothing there to grab onto. And there's just things like that throughout this movie which make this movie as good as it is. Just the little things. So because of that, I can't decide between an A or an A minus. But I'm going to go with an A because my only real problem is how this messes up the entire MCU timeline up to this point. Other than that, I really didn't have any problems with the movie, so I'm going to give Spider-Man Homecoming an A. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Leave your thoughts on this movie down in the comments. How it ranks among your MCU movies. I like to know that. And I'm going to post the spoiler review should be up in a little while. So you can watch this and then go over and watch that. I have some things to say in that. This will be a fun little review. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Leave comments in the section below on your thoughts. Leave a like and subscribe for more MCU content. Have a great day, guys.